good day, everybody. Welcome back to another episode live from Jerusalem with the Noahide World Center with Rabbi Chaim Goldberg, my rabbi. It's always a joy to spend time with him. He's been going at this Genesis class now for, a year and a half or more, I think, and we're learning so much, and he's also been using his friend Lee Fogel to share with us some of the Brit Shalom, and it's a joy to hear the details out of that book. It's just profound. I encourage everybody out there to get a copy. Brit Shalom by Rabbi Uri Cherky, the founder of the Noahide World Center. So I'm not going to beleaguer this anymore. It's Rabbi Goldberg's class, so let's just jump right in and see. Rabbi Goldberg, you're live on the air, and we're actually live on the Noahide Society of Canada page on top of the Noahide World Centers, and we're looking at doing more, and it's exciting stuff.
Good evening, everybody from Jerusalem. Good morning to the Canada people. To Daniel, also in Bogota, right? It's for you. It's the middle of the morning. Very good. On the other side, for the England people and for Italy people, and especially for Elaine. This is for her. It's already almost Monday morning. We need to be careful. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Good to see you all. I saw some of you. I saw also yesterday. It's okay. I want to share with you, first of all, before we will start, just that you will know, in a few moments, Lee Fogel will come inside, and his wife gave birth 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. Very big mazel tov for them. And I will sneak outside for 10 minutes when he will speak. You will see only my picture, because we're doing also very, very big event in the Portuguese language. Okay, today we finished the Brit Shalom in Portuguese, and another few days it was going to be also on the air, so people will manage to buy it and to get a copy. But we have it already in so many languages, thank God. So we're doing a very big event there, and I also have another role, not only with the English people, but also as the CEO of this Noahide World Center, so I'm supposed to be there also. So I said to them that it will be only 10 minutes, because the rest of the time I'm going to be with all of you. So let's start. Let's dive inside and let's start to learn. Let's share the screen and let's, Genesis is calling us. We already came to we're already in chapter 9. We're not going to finish it tonight, but we are going step by step, and we're doing a lot of things. So please, what we're going to do is we're going to start from verse number 18. We're going to read a few verses, and then we're going to explain them a bit. So please, Dan.
18, and the sons of Noah who came out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Ham was the father of Canaan. These three were the sons of Noah, and from these the entire earth spread out. And Noah began to be a master of the soil, and he planted a vineyard. And he drank of the wine and became drunk, and he uncovered himself within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father's nakedness, and he told his two brothers outside.
Yes, let's continue on a bit.
And Shem and Japheth took the garment, and they placed it on both of their shoulders, and they walked backwards. And they covered their father's nakedness, and their faces were turned backwards, so that they did not see their father's nakedness. And Noah awoke from his wine, and he knew what his small son had done to him.
That's enough. That's enough.
Okay.
First of all, let's speak about this story. This specific story, okay? We're starting. So after God did a covenant with the people, and not only with the people, with all of the animals, with everything that is in this earth, that we came to a stage where we understand, where God realized that we won't be in such a big sinners like we were before the flood. And God did a covenant that he won't bring any flood anymore. Now we're speaking what is happening with this family that came out from the flood. And how many kids Noah have? It's written down, okay? Those three kids. How many kids Adam had? Who remember? Adam also started the new world. How many kids did he have?
Says 3 sons.
Exactly, he had also 3. He had Cain, he had Abel, and he had Seth, right? It's also a bit similar names. Seth is reminding us the word Shem. It's almost the same, right? And Japhet, there is a verse in how do you call this book? I don't remember, the Mishlei book, where Solomon wrote down. You know what? I will open it.
Proverbs.
Proverbs, yes, exactly. So it says, Sheker hachen vehevel hayofi. Okay, there is a similarity between Hevel, Abel, and Japhet, Yofi. So Japhet and Abel are some sort of a similar, and Ham is related to Cain. So first of all, we know that it's very similar. We have three. One is thinking spirituality. This is a Shem. Shem is speaking spirituality. Thinking spirituality is related with God more. He's thinking about more spiritual things. Ham is the one who is more in the ground and doing things that are related to what is happening in this world. And Japhet is the glory, the beauty. The beauty is something very important, but it's not something very essential. We won't be able to live without bread, what Ham is doing, or without bringing this world to a better world, technically, but we can live if the things won't be so nice or so pretty. So Japhet is something, a bit, we don't know exactly where it's going to go, okay? Shem is with the spiritual side. Now, from another very interesting note that suddenly it says that Ham was the father of Canaan. Why is it reminding us this point or this thing? Especially that they just went out from the ark, and we know that Canaan wasn't alive yet. So we need to realize or to say that it's trying to hint for us something for the future. Okay, this week we read in the Parsha yesterday that Canaan is a place. It's a place. From one side, you know what? Maybe I need to show this. I'm sorry I didn't open this up before. Now, do you see my new Bible? This is a new one. Okay, let's go for a moment. No. Genesis. I want to show for a moment how Joseph is calling this land and how his brothers are calling this land, the land of Israel. Okay. I think we hear. Another chapter, another one. That's it. Sorry for that. We read yesterday, okay, the story about the dreams of Pharaoh, that he was dreaming all the dreams, what will happen in the future in his place. And when they're bringing him, they're saying to him at the end of this dream, nobody is managing to solve the hints of the dream. And they're bringing him, how he says that, and there was with us a Hebrew lad, okay, a slave that solved us all the things, and then they're bringing him in front of Pharaoh. No, where it is.
That's after.
I lost it for a moment. Where it is? Maybe it's one. Maybe it's one chapter before that. Just a moment. But no, I'm almost positive that it's here. Just a moment. Let's see if I won't find it. Oh, here it is. Sorry. So it's one chapter before that, when he's speaking not with Pharaoh, when he's speaking with the servants of Pharaoh. Okay, he is solving the dreams of the servants of Pharaoh. So please read verse number 15.
For I was stolen from the land of the Hebrews, and here too I have done nothing for which they have put me into the dungeon.
Okay, so I was stolen from the land of the Hebrews. And everybody understands that he's speaking about what land?
Israel.
Israel. Okay, so this was before the land of the Hebrews, when his brothers are coming and standing in front of him, and they don't know that he is Joseph yet. Okay, they think that he is a very big servant of the empire of Egypt. They're calling themselves, they're saying to these men that they came from the Canaan, from the land of Canaan. So Canaan here that is being said in this chapter, in chapter 9, is something that is going to speak about the future, and we need to understand what will happen with this. Okay, so let's continue on. This was only a note. Let's continue on with this. So from here we're speaking about those are three were the sons of Noach, and now I have a very hard question. The entire earth, from those three, the entire earth was spread out, right? So it is before we're speaking about the Tower of Babylon, okay? Before the sin of Babylon. Already there we see that the people are going to be spread out all over the world. So we need to understand exactly what's happening in the Babylon tower and what is the sin there, because we all remember that since Babylon we are all spread out. No, it's already written down here, much more before the Babylon tower. Did you thought about this before that, Dan? No, I don't think so.
Oh, yeah. I've spent a lot of time doing the research, trying to do the archaeology, trying to track it down factually. I mean, there is so much data and the growth in academia. The hardest part, though, is dealing with traditional timelines. And I don't want to go there because, boy, oh boy, I tend to butt heads with rabbis, and I don't want to.
Fair enough. So we see here that already the entire earth is being spread out from the day that Noah went out from the ark. It's more than 1,000 years before the Babylon story. Fine. Now we're starting to see something very unique and very similar. And I want to remind us all for a moment what is happening with Adam and Eve when they are sitting down, when they are being put in the Garden of Eden. In the beginning, they are a bit naked. Remember that? They don't have any clothes. And after the sin, suddenly, they're having some sort of awareness that they need to have clothes. And God is giving them clothes, right? Remember that? All of this story, we spoke about this. Maybe it was half a year ago, but we spoke about this story. We can read it again in Genesis. Those are very known stories. And now we see something very similar. We see that, just a moment. עכשיו כי אני באמצע שיעור פה באנגלית. אתה לא מצליח להיכנס? אז אני עכשיו מטפל בזה, בסדר. אני עכשיו לא מספר. I'm sorry. I need I said to you that we have also another very big event in the other side.
Busy man.
No. It's. I said to them that it's not a good time, but they're doing usually it's on the same time with me. So I'm sorry for that. Maybe you need to stop the record for a moment.
Well, we're joined by many people on Facebook and YouTube, and it's always a joy. I see Lee's finally stepped into the room, in the Zoom room.
Very good. So maybe he will replace me, and I will fix all the things there. No, but I want to say something very important here. As you can see here, they saw that he was nakedness. So there was some sort of a situation where Noach was, תכניס את האפשר כי הוא מחכה לאישור שלכם להיכנס. הוא כבר כמה דקות, הוא התקשר אליי. אין בעיה, תטפל בזה, בסדר? כן, הוא מנסה להיכנס, אבל הוא מקבל אישור ממושיקו. טוב, אני באמצע שיעור פה, אני כבר חוזר אליכם, ביי. Okay, so we see that he was also a bit nakedness. Also, he was without clothing. It's something similar to what happened to the Adam and Eve. In a moment, we can see also that when he became drunk, to become drunk. So you're saying to yourself, in those moments that you are drunk, you are not really having any common sense. You're not really connected with your knowledge. And this is exactly what happened to Adam and Eve before they ate from the tree of knowledge. Right. And we see the nakedness. And then we see that Shem and Japheth are putting on him the clothings back, just like God did to Adam and Eve. And when he's waking up in 24, so he understands from his wine, he understands that something happened to him in the days or in the time that he wasn't there. So it's very, very similar. Maybe he's trying to recover or to repair the broken world that Adam and Eve did, but he's not managing. So we having here, another a copy
Repeat.
of what happened in the first story with Adam and Eve. We see something very similar. Another very important point that we need to mention here is that Noach, if I will ask all of us, what is more important, to eat bread or to drink wine? We all know that with bread we need to live, and if we won't have bread, we won't be able to live. But with wine, maybe it's good, maybe from time to time to drink some wine, it's good. But you can live without wine almost all of your lives. So, but Noach, when he's going out from the ark, and it wasn't so sympathy to go out from the ark and to see all of this, nothing that is in this world. Therefore, he is trying to run away a bit from life. Today, I need to be very careful because Noach was a very great person, okay? But today we know, you can ask Angelica, she's with us. When someone have a lot of hard feelings or hard things with himself, so he is trying from time to time to run to the drugs or something like that, or maybe to drink also. We know we have a very big problem in Lithuania, for example, where people, when they want to run away from their problems, they're drinking a lot.
Addiction, yeah.
It's also in other places, but in Lithuania, they're not afraid to speak about this. I think also in England, we have the similarity thing. Let me bless England. I know that they have a lot of problems today with the new COVID that they managed to reorganize to all of the world. New something of the COVID there. So a lot of blessing, a lot of repair for this behavior. So what's happening with Noach? He is trying to run away a bit from what's happening to what he sees in front of him. He sees a lot of nothing. There was a very full world before that. It's not so easy to move to this stage, to see that. And he is running to the wine, and he's passing something very similar to what Adam and Eve passed when they were in the Garden of Eden. So we need first of all to see a bit this story in this way. Now, what exactly happened there? We don't really know. Because it says that Chaim, he saw his father's nakedness, but we don't know exactly what he did. The main thing here is when you see someone naked, you don't really um, give him any honor. You treat him like very, he's almost like an animal. He's nothing really important. If he's not important and he doesn't have any honor with himself, I don't need to give him any honor also. So we're not people who are naked. We looking at them that they're not the mainstream of the society. And this is what Canaan tried to do. He tried to say, with all of the respect to our father, who has been um, starting from the beginning of the universe or the humanity, and he is deciding who is sitting where and who is taking what part of the world and what exactly the structure of the world is supposed to be. We don't need really to give him any honor. We don't need really to give him to respect him too much. He is naked, put him aside. He left already to this world. We don't need to take part with him. This is what Canaan is trying to do. Now, the other two sons of Noach, Shem and Japheth, they don't agree with that. They saying that we need to have respect to our elders, to have respect with him. And this is why they are covering his nakedness. They're not allowing that this situation will continue on more and more. This is basically what is happening here. We're starting to see the struggle of the continuous, of the next step of the world. What exactly is going to be the main leading of the next step of the world? But Shem and Japheth managed to be much more strong than this naughty Canaan. And Canaan is getting punished for his behavior of this thing. Questions till now, if there is any questions, if there are any questions.
I'm not sure if the chat is disabled again, Rabbi.
I don't know why. Let me do with you that you also.
Here, give it to Tony. I got so much going on.
Okay. Tony, you're going to be with me co-host and to open the chat again. I don't know how you do that. Those are technical things. After all, I'm only a rabbi. That's it. This is my intention.
It should be unlocked now.
I just hit a test.
Excellent.
There you go.
So if there are any questions, this is the time. One of the things that we need to see, or we need to understand, maybe I will say another one more important sentence for this thing. We're going to continue on with Genesis. And Genesis is full of stories from one side. But when you look at this in the right point of view, you will see that there are a lot of stories where we see them from one generation, and then we see them again in the next or a few generations after that, where the story is very similar, but someone is trying to repair a sin or some sort of the problem that people before that left us with. Okay, so Adam and Eve, when they ate from the tree of knowledge, they left us with a problem that till today, we got kicked out from Eden, and we lost part of the knowledge because of that. And what we see here, that Noach is trying to recover back things. He's not managing. Okay, it didn't went well for him, but he's trying. Now we will see in the continuance of Genesis, along with it, we will go inside of this book, that there are a lot of things that people are doing in one generation, and it's a sin, it's not going good, it's not doing well, and everything else. And then next generation, few generation after that, people are doing the same thing again and trying to repair things that happened wrongly in the generation before that.
Right.
And this is one of the things that we see in Genesis, and basically it's along all of the history that humanity is trying to repair things that was wrong in the generation before us.
Well, Rabbi, there's a few questions. Anna's first up there on the chat room, and a couple other on YouTube. But Anna's asking, she says she doesn't get why it was Canaan who got the curse when it says that, was it
We didn't
Ham?
talk about the curse yet, about the curse. But what is Canaan is also the one who did all this problem. I'll show you the screen again. Canaan was the one who did the problem. Okay. Sorry. You're right. Ham did the problem, and Canaan got the curse. Yes. You ask him why. We're going to speak about this next week, not this week. Okay. You're right. She's right.
And people online are also asking. I mean, I've got Rebecca Kaufman down in Missouri asking. She's not understanding why that Canaan was cursed instead of Ham, who did the wrong. And even John down in the States is also asking, was Canaan born on the ark or after the ark? Things like this. Just looking for some clarification. What's the connection between Ham and Canaan, especially when the curse happens after?
No. So first of all, we know that Ham was the father of Canaan. We said it already here.
Yes.
When we didn't read yet. It's very nice that people know already that Canaan got cursed.
Right.
I don't know that yet. I didn't read it yet.
Yes.
We're going to read it next week. We're going to speak about this next week, and we'll explain why Canaan was called cursed, even though Ham did this thing. We need to understand what's happening here.
For sure. Yeah. So it seems to be prevalent in a lot of students' minds. So.
Okay, good. Yeah. You know what a good teacher is saying all the time? I was testing if you are awake. This is what I do.
Lisette is also asking you, Rabbi. Lisette is asking, how does the Jewish society deal with generation differences?
Lisette, you need to explain a bit more what you're asking.
Unmute your mic, Lisette.
Okay. What I need to ask is there's always this problem with generations in society. The new generation, they don't agree with what the generation before did. There's always this separation. And also disrespect. And nowadays, they don't respect the elders. And how does the Jewish nation behave towards this situation?
First of all, if I understand you correctly, we're speaking about two different things. One thing is how we need to deal with the elders. Okay, this is one thing. And the second thing is what is the relationship between one generation to another one, that one generation need to repair and to fix things that the first generation did bad. Those are two different questions. So I will start with the second one, please, with your permission. This is a part of life. One of the things that we're trying to do all the time is to bring the world to a better stage and to take responsibility for the next generations. Now, sometimes we have that one generation is leaving us a very hard and very bad world. For example, let's speak about the 2 years after the Second World War, for example. Okay, we know that the world was in a very hard situation. It took the world a lot of time to repair from this war. Okay, so this is part of the responsibility that we have for the next generation. There is another thing, another different issue, and it's written down already in the Ten Commandments that there is a very important to honor our parents, just like we honoring God. And the reason is very simple, because they brought us here to this world. So this is why we need to behave like that. This is a story that is running in our family for very long years, very, very long time. And it says like that. It says about two people who were with their families, who went on the train from one side of the United States to the other side. Now, there are a few trains like that. And one of them have, a very important cabin where people have place to sleep, where to eat, and everything else. And there are also the normal cabins where people don't really have beds to sleep, but they're sitting on a bench and and they're sleeping there. And there were two people there. One was a senator one of the senators of the United States, who was moving from Washington D.C. to, I don't know, to his place in the other side of the United States. And next to him was, in the next cabin, was a very Jewish person with a very long beard, white long beard. And for the next coming 4 days that they were traveling from one side to another, the senator saw that all the time, to the Jewish one, all the time people are coming to visit him. Young kids, older people, they're playing with him chess, they're speaking with him, they're reading with him books, they're doing a lot of things. And the senator was all the time, by himself, alone. So the senator, almost at the end of the trip, asked the rabbi, this Jewish rabbi, said to him, your family is on the other side of the train, and my family is also. But your family all the time came to you. And almost every hour you had someone with you to have a society with you, socialist with you. And my family, they didn't come even once, What is the difference? How come this happened? So he answered him, the difference is from how we relating with our elders, okay? We believe that our elders, they were in Mount Sinai and they spoke with God. So every generation is feeling that they are getting far from the elders' generation and they want to have a lot of connection with the elders. But you believe that the man came from the monkey. Okay, so they are running away from you. What do you want from us? So now I need to be very careful because we all know. Okay, fine. Understood. Everybody understood what's happening here. Now we need to be very careful because after all, we know that to honor our parents, it's not only in the Hebrew community, but it is very important to understand that the first I will say the first generations were people who were connected with God. Therefore, we want to have relationship with the generations above us and generations above us. And here it's an opportunity to thank my father who is sitting with us. I don't know why my mother is not there, who will tell me later on, for not only bringing me here to this world, but also for teaching me a lot of things, okay, for the world to come. So those are things that our elders are doing, just like my grandfather, okay, the father of my father, taught me a lot of things, and I had the privilege also to not only to live with the time that he lived, but also to learn from him. And those are things that we need to do with the next generations that we have, okay, with my kids and my grandkids, children's. So I think I answered.
So even though in that commandment is not in the 7 Noahide laws, we must follow that.
And right, and I will tell you more than that, that in the Babylon Talmud, when they're trying to teach us in the place where they're speaking about this mitzvah, this obligation that we need to do to honor our elders, they're bringing stories about non-Jewish people, how they respected their elders, and we need to learn from them. So what we learn here, that it's not a mitzvah, it's not an obligation only for the Jewish nation. In the Babylon Talmud, the main story is about people who are not Jewish. And what we say also, we learn this later on, that Esau was respecting his father very much. And we are learning from him a lot of that. So let's take things in the right proportion, let's not lose the right mind. Before I said a joke, but it's maybe it's showing a bit, how to look on the world in the right way. But it was only a joke because a lot of people, not only from the Jewish nation, are respecting their parents. It's okay, it's fine. This is how they're supposed to behave.
Wow. Well, Rabbi, I gotta say, I think you pieced together something big here for me. Anyways, I mean, because I've always been very scientific bent, and by just bringing to light the question of nakedness, right? Just bringing and connecting it with the incident in the garden, along with after the flood. What is that point? And you made me think. It just when I come at a scientific angle so hard and so raw, there is, I guess, a degree of dishonoring or disrespecting, or when you peel back the veneer, when you just open the box and peel it and just look at what's inside, there's something raw there. And I guess, I can never understand why people have an aversion to data, right? If you can measure it and weigh it, it's data. It's but there is an actual level, I think you've got me to understand here today, where you're looking at nothing. You're just looking at data. The human being is the culmination of so much more than just the raw parts, and bringing to light the honor that needs to be there. Very, very helpful to me personally. I've clashed for some reason many, many, many times, and I don't like to do it with scholars, especially with any rabbis that there's an antagonism. But I think it helps me to understand. Wait a second, they're protecting the honor of those that have gone before, and more than that, there's always something more beautiful to a person's life. 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, Hashem did a wonderful work there. And the beauty that's recorded in Torah, just living, it's amazing. Thank you.
Okay. Lee, are you with us? Can we hear you? Can we see you? Yay.
Yeah, I'm here. Let me just open up the video.
Good to see
Mazel
you.
tov.
Mazel tov.
Hi, thank you. Good to be back. Sorry for the absence. There was an unexpected. My wife was pregnant, but there was an unexpected delivery. Thank God we're all back home and slowly getting back on track. So I certainly missed our time together, and thank you to Rabbi Chaim for filling in.
Just a moment. I'm jumping out to the Portuguese language and coming back. Okay, so see you soon.
Okay, great. So I'm sure we'll have.
You're the master now, Tony. Tony and Dan. You both of you the master.
Sure, Rabbi Chaim, are you going to be back for the question part?
Yeah, I will. Yes.
Okay, great. I imagine questions will arise. So thanks everybody, and great to be back. I have to share my screen, and we'll continue. You'll forgive me if I'm repeating anything that Rabbi Chaim reviewed with us in previous sessions. I think so. Rabbi Chaim mentioned to me that we got more or less up to chapter 2, clause 6. Just a quick review. Okay, we spoke about the will of God coming through the channel of prophecy, and the ultimate level of prophecy coming through the giving of the Torah to the Jewish people at Mount Sinai, and the Jewish people basically being the bearers of prophecy to the whole world. And I think we spoke about this in the past, that being the concept of chosenness, chosen not necessarily because we're better, chosen to be a conduit, to be a channel to all of humanity, to connect with our Creator. Great. Okay. Yeah, we'll just touch on them very quickly. I think the rest of this chapter, which kind of lays out, as we say here above, the fundamentals. It's kind of laying out the groundwork, and then we'll chapters 3 and onwards, we'll start moving in to some of the more sort of bigger ideas. So that's with regards to prophecy. Whoever claims to be a prophet needs to be basically tested for his authenticity. That's clause 3 here. And this is a topic that I think we basically just touched on also with Rabbi Chaim, but it appears elsewhere in the book, that basically all obligations that better society, that are consistent with ethics, they're going to be, we want them to be obligatory for all humankind, to make the world a better place, to make the family of mankind more cohesive. So certainly included within that is honoring one's parents or elders, and there are going to be other clauses touching on that later on. Okay, and then basically, in order to kind of have a baseline, and as we spoke about, the children of Israel, the Israelite nation being the conduits of prophecy, basically giving a stamp of approval to religious rituals of the different nations. This is also something we'll speak about in the further clauses, basically adding on to the baseline Noahide laws, where things like that are of a religious nature, basically to come and to consult with the sages of Israel to see what will and will not be appropriate. Okay, I think Rabbi Chaim said you said 3, 4, and 5. So anyway, we'll touch on number 6 as well. I think it's a pretty deep point. Okay, so reading here in the text, is it large enough, or should I increase I'll increase the size. Okay, there we go. Okay, so advancement of civilization, including technological progress, expansion of knowledge, moral elevation, and concern for the health of all creation, is an underlying principle in a world functioning in accordance with God's will. Now, also for me, I'm not sure if I mentioned anything about my personal background, but I was raised secularly to a Jewish family, to an Israeli family, but coming into the religious Jewish world, there's certainly plenty of elements within the religious Jewish world, and I think that elements like this are in other religions as well, where in order for one to be considered holy, one kind of needs to be separated from humanity or separated from physicality, kind of the monk idea. And to think that somebody involved with, if it's medical research or agricultural advancement, et cetera, to think that is holiness is kind of counterintuitive to the nomenclature, to the common way that holiness is perceived. And that's exactly what the Torah wants to flip on its head. I once, well, it's not relevant the story, but basically, I'm thinking about speaking to my brother recently about all the amazing advancements of Elon Musk. I don't know if you guys follow what he does. He has a very large number of projects going on simultaneously, and he's advancing society, and his brother as well, and really in all of these different respects. And to think that this advancement of society is, if one has the intention that this is what God wants, then this is a mitzvah. This is a commandment. This brings one holiness. I thought it would be nice to look quickly at the source. One of the sources that Rabbi Shirky brings here in the footnote, and it's the commentary of Nachmanides. See, we have here a comment in the chat. Why do we use the word religion? If in Hebrew the word religion is not in that language, why do we use the word religion? Basically, Rabbi Shirky touches on this point often, Angelica. Judaism or the Torah, it's not really looking to develop a religion in the classical sense. The Torah is meant to build a civilization, and it's targeted obviously at the Israelite nation, but it's targeted at all of humanity. And as we've mentioned, in past times, and we're mentioning now, these instructions, right? The Torah, the word Torah, comes from the Hebrew for hora'ah, or instruction. This instruction manual, it's called Torat Chaim. It's called an instruction manual for life, and it's really meant to pervade all of life and to really be the foundation for an entire society. So why do we look now at Judaism as a religion? Basically because of the exile. We're suffering 2,000 years outside of our homeland, and even today, after the establishment of the state of Israel, this miraculous return. Many consider it the fulfillment of the prophecies of the ingatherings of the ingathering of the exiles. Even after that, the Jewish people today in Israel are still struggling to kind of get out of exile, mentally speaking, and to return to our initial identity, which I think we're you all and I and Rabbi Chaim, of course, at the initiative of Rabbi Shirky, are springing forth, which is bringing the word of God to all of humanity. And the chief tool for this is the political entity of Israel, a living, breathing society, which is involved in holiness in the classical sense, and also holiness in physicality. And this is the Judaism. This is the original Judaism, if you will. I hope that answers your question, Angelica. So I wanted to speak briefly about look at briefly the commentary of Nachmanides, Rabbi Moses ben Nachman. He lived in Spain. He is one of our chief rabbinical figures, and he also has one of the classic commentaries on the Torah, on much of the Bible of the Tanakh. Lived approximately 1200, I think, a couple of generations after Maimonides, which is Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon. Also, you guys have probably read a little bit of his literature. Also one of the classics. Okay, so he says here, this is in Genesis 1. Okay, so we have here the verse. Okay, God blessed them. He's talking here to Adam and Eve. God blessed them, and God said to them, be fertile and increase, right? Peru urvu. It's also translated as be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and master it, and rule the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, and all the living things that creep on the earth, or that creep on earth. And here the Ramban says, sorry, just a second, I thought it was in 28. Fill the earth and, okay, so here they're translating it as master it. Here in the commentary of Nachmanides, he's translating it as subdue. Okay, it's vichiv shuha. Literally, if you could also translate it as conquer it, to conquer the land. So here he says a very interesting commentary. Okay, so conquer means to go and to fill the land with society, with your value system, etc. But here he adds a very interesting commentary. He says, he gave them the power and rulership over the earth. I'm reading here. And this is a fantastic website. I highly recommend you guys take a look. Safaria.org. They have, as you can see here, a split screen of Hebrew and also in English. They have a very large library of Jewish literature, Torah literature, in English and obviously also in the Hebrew, with really cool links to commentaries, as you can see here. So anyway, just a side note, highly recommended. He gave them the power and rulership over the earth to do whatever they wanted with the beasts and the swarming animals and all those that slither on the ground. Okay, and to build and to uproot and plant and to quarry copper from its hills and to do things similar to this, etc., etc. Okay, so Rabbi Shirky wants to learn out from this. Okay, if you're going to be, you're building up the land. Part of conquering it, right, is to going and building and uprooting, planting, quarrying copper. Okay, so these are building blocks for these are tools, right? This is kind of ancient technology, if you will, and this is where he draws out this lesson that we just spoke about, which is technological progress, things that are advancing humankind. Anyhow, this is for me a very big insight in the service of Hashem, in the service of God. Again, because also my introduction to kind of the concept of holiness, and I think it is a very common misconception of the concept of holiness, that to be holy means to be to be weak and to be meek, as we said in the past, disconnected from physicality, and here we're seeing quite the opposite. Okay, clause 7. Regarding Noahide laws whose details were not explicitly discussed in the Talmud or in rabbinic literature, certain sages of Israel hold they should be decided according to the stipulations of Jewish law. Okay, as is spelled out in the Jewish halakha and the Jewish Torah law. Other sages of Israel hold it as the responsibility of the Noahide sages to ascertain definitions on these matters according to their best judgment. And practically speaking, the second opinion is the prevalent one, or the prevailing one. And this is a theme that we'll see in the next couple of clauses. I don't know if he's here with us. I still learning all the names, but I believe it was Paul. We spoke about this in past sessions. This touches on both the involvement of different cultures in the development of Noahide law, and also the maintenance or the not doing away with the uniqueness of each culture. And this is something that we'll see over the next couple of clauses. Mm-hmm. How do we establish Noahide sages? Okay, great question. We'll touch on this shortly, and there's also going to be further on chapters that are dedicated straight to this. Do we have Noahide sages today? Great. Okay, so I think more or less the same question. How do we establish these Noahide sages? Okay, so yeah, there's going to be an entire chapter. Here, we'll just go back to the outline. Okay, so the judicial systems and the laws of the state. This is going to touch on the sages, but effectively, I think it's just to touch on it briefly. Much like in the Jewish tradition, people who feel a specific calling, that this is what they should be doing, and who consult with the sages of Israel, and most importantly, who gain the acceptance and the authority with their brethren. They once asked Rabbi Moshe Feinstein. He was one of the prevalent halachic rulers of Jewish law in the United States. Passed away about 20 or 30 years ago. They asked him, Rabbi Moshe, how did you come to be such a authority in Jewish law? And he said, people kept asking me questions, and I kept having the answers. And so slowly but surely, he gained more authority. And it's a very organic process. It's not meant to be something that's top down. So I think that just to touch on it briefly, and I think there's going to be more on that later. This thing flashes here, so it's quite distracting. Here, let's see. How is authority granted to Jewish sages according to Jewish law? Okay, much in the same fashion. Basically, from rabbi to student, and so too, somebody who feels the calling and learns this, begins to learn the sources, or goes to a rabbi and begins to learn the sources. And there's, I think, a couple of videos actually of Rabbi Chaim, who was asked a similar question, and I forget who it was exactly, but basically there's a very, very important, there's a very strong emphasis in the Jewish tradition on this chain of transmission, this unbroken chain of transmission from rabbi to student, such that somebody doesn't arise one day and start pulling commentary and interpreting the Torah according to his or her own will. There is an unbroken chain, basically going back to Moses and the Jewish people at Mount Sinai. Moses really gained his authority over the Jewish people at Mount Sinai. Before then, there's more commentary on this. It's besides the point. But basically, when God revealed Himself to the Jewish people and blessed Moses with as his trusted servant, this is when the Jewish people really accepted full force Moses' authority as the representative of God. And from then on, we have an unbroken chain of transmission, and this is it's a very important thing. Okay, clause 8: minimum measurements regarding certain mitzvot, regarding certain obligations, as are customary in halakha or Jewish law, such as the size of an olive or an egg, as regards blessings over food, are not applicable to Noahides. Another example here is we have on the Passover night. right? So Jews are required to drink a certain amount of wine. Okay, so things like, or let's say with regards to the blessing, like he says here, the blessings over food. There's blessings before that we say before the food, basically to ask for God's permission to use the food, and there's also blessings after the food that largely thank God for the food that He's given us. And one of the main ones is the biblical commandment is to bless after eating a certain amount of bread. Okay, so these sizes and these measurements, they're not obligatory for Noahites. I think pretty self-explanatory. Okay, and clauses 9 and 10 are somewhat similar. Who is obligated and who is not? Okay, so a Noahide minor, and here again, as defined by the sages of one's prevailing culture, is exempt from Noahide laws. I'll just read number 10. Whoever is deaf, mute from birth, or mentally incapacitated is exempt from Noahide laws. Okay, so just a point on number 9. Again, we saw here, as defined by the sages of one's culture. Okay, just personally, growing up, let's say I grew up a little bit in California on the west coast of America, and in Boston most of my life on the East Coast. And somebody reaches their kind of mental and physical peak, if you will, at like the age of 40, okay? Whereas like, let's say in the Middle East culture, or maybe in Indian culture, you have kids who are 5, 6, 7, 10 years old who are taking care of their little siblings. They might even be working and helping around the house and doing other things in the family business. These are things that are very dependent on one's culture, and also play a role in who we're going to obligate in, who we feel can undertake the responsibility of the Noahide laws. Yeah, there was a question raised to Rabbi Shirky about clause 10. This is based on basically norms in Talmudic times, and there was a question raised as to the relevance of this clause, specifically with regards to the deaf and to those who are mute, because they have varying forms of communication today. Okay, we have Zoom, we have text messaging, and certain devices that allow people to hear, or even partially. And as to the relevance of this clause, he said at the very least, people included in this clause should be taught the laws, even if we're not going to obligate them to the same extent. I don't know if there's a way to hide this thing from flashing, but let's see. How is authority granted to Jewish sages? This we already read. Italian culture as well. Michaela, I don't know which part you were referring to. I have a couple of Italian friends who are, some of them are a bit more mature, some of them are a little bit less mature. But as we're saying, very good. Okay, so things that are very culture specific, and as we said previously, this is where the sages, the Noahide sages, will see what is most fitting for their specific culture. Okay, pretty important foundation here. Noahides are not obligated to give up their lives to avoid violating Noahide laws, with a very important exception: the prohibition of murder. However, whoever wants to give up his life rather than violate any of these laws is permitted to do so, and in doing so sanctifies God's name. So a little bit of background here, as some of you may be familiar. As we said previously, the Torah is a Torah of life. It's a Torah which Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, peace be upon him, he wrote in one of his books that, in a sense, Judaism worships life in every aspect, as we said, also in the classical holiness and also in physicality. We want to increase life in quantity and in quality, as we also read in the blessing from the chapter in Genesis. We want to increase life. And therefore, there's a very important clause in Jewish law, which is called pikuach nefesh, the saving of a life. And because life is so sacrosanct, and this clause even overrides many commandments. Okay, so if God forbid a person is dying of starvation, okay, he may be able to he will be able to eat something to save his own life, even if that food is forbidden to him, normally speaking. Okay, or a very classic example, the Sabbath laws. Okay, normally we don't drive on the Sabbath. But let's say, okay, a great example personally. Okay, so it's an important clause for Jews to remember that if a woman's wife is pregnant, and it can happen that contractions start to happen on Shabbat. So you need to know that saving the woman's life, saving the baby's life, even overrides Shabbat. But nevertheless, this very, very, very important rule, which, as we said, it supersedes, it overrides a great many commandments. There are exceptions to this, and the one specifically that we're referring to here that Noahides are also obligated in is murder. Okay, we want to increase life, and this is a foundation that we want obligatory for all mankind. Nevertheless, the corollary here about being permitted to give up one's life. So there are certain situations in which a Jew, and as we're learning here, a Noahide is required to give up one's life. Okay, and then there are certain situations where one is forbidden from giving up one's life. But here we're being granted, Noahides are being granted the permission to do so, if in doing so this sanctifies God's name. Okay, so if we're talking here about one of the other prohibitions, okay, we'll talk about idolatry and avodah zarah, worshiping of idols. So in that sense, if somebody says, God forbid, here he has you at point blank, and he says either worship this idol, or I'll take your life. Okay, so Noahide is not required to give up one's life, and would be permitted to worship the idol in such a situation, but would be permitted to give up his or her life if in doing so it would sanctify God's name. And there, unfortunately, a great deal of stories that we have of Jews who gave up their life in the Holocaust, and today many of those stories do in fact serve to sanctify God's name. So a very important clause. How does Rav Kook explain why measures do not apply to Noahides? They do not have access to his book, Toda Rabba. This is a great question. I think this is a little bit above my, as they say, above my pay grade. I'd be happy to ask this to Rabbi Chaim if we can save this question. That's okay. Either Rav Chaim, maybe we might have to refer to Rav Sherki. I also don't have much of the library of Rav Kook access to it. Okay, class 12. How are we doing on time? We're at 9:05. I don't know what Rabbi Chaim's plan is, but we'll go for a few more minutes, I guess. And then if we have questions, we'll open it up for questions to me. If there are things that are above me, then we can save them for Rabbi Chaim. I don't know if he's joined us back. I don't see him back on the participants list. Fine, we'll continue for a bit. Okay, clause 12. I'm really happy, by the way, that people are stopping me to ask questions. As we said in the past, if anything is not clear, either just in the English that the text is not clear, whatever, Rabbi Chaim said this group is not shy, so please don't be. And certainly if certain details of the laws are not clear, if things are a little bit more philosophical in nature, etc., then maybe we'll save them to the end. And certainly things that I don't think I have the right answers to, I'll defer to Rabbi Chaim. Okay, so clause number 12. Halachot, or laws, added by the sages of Israel, known as rabbinic laws, do not apply to Noahides. So what's a good example of this? Okay, so we're required before meals, where we eat bread, or a certain amount of bread, as we said previously, the minimum measurements are not obligatory for Noahides, and you can. So before these meals for bread, we wash our hands. Okay, and this is like how do you say? commemorating the service of the Kohanim, of the priests in the temple, and also washing one's hands, but primarily as a commemoration of the service of the priests in the temple. Okay, and this is a rabbinic enactment that the Jews are required to do anytime before eating a certain amount of bread. Okay, so this would be a good example where this would not be obligatory for Noahides. We also have two very nice and very important holidays, but again, these are rabbinic enactments. These are not biblical in nature. Actually, had one just recently, right? The festival of Hanukkah, celebrating the Jews' victory over the Greeks and their decrees on the Jewish people. Okay, but these are rabbinic in nature. Jews are obligated in them. And I think we'll see elsewhere in other chapters that I think Noahides are permitted to participate in such celebrations, but they're not obligatory. Okay, clause 13. Noahide sages, accepted among their own people to judge and deliberate in legal matters, must be experts in Noahide law, as well as the customary practices and common characteristics of their people. As again, we said with the involvement of each and every different culture, and this is not only the legal aspects, this is also the customary practices. As we said, okay, Italian culture has certain quirks, has certain characteristics, and it's very important to, it's just as important in Jewish law for people to have a very high level of sensitivity to people's inclinations. So here too, this is going to be something required of Noahide sages, and really it requires people with very broad shoulders and very large souls. We have here, are there yeshivot for Noahides? This is an awesome question. And Netzach, it sounds like you're going to be one of these judges or one of the initiative takers wherever it is you're living. Not that I know of. Again, this would be a great answer for a great question for Rabbi Chaim. We also spoke about this, I think, in the past, that community is a very important part of any religion. Certainly, the Jewish community has stuck together over countless generations of exile as a result of sticking to community, and this is, I think, a wonderful thing for Noahide communities or Noahides to do, is to congregate in communities. And there's a great Mishnah, there's a great teaching by Rabbi Hillel in the Ethics of the Fathers, which in Hebrew goes like this. It says, "B'makom she'en anashim, ishtadel lihiyot ish." In a place where there are, I'll just kind of paraphrase, in a place where there are no people taking initiative, you go ahead and take initiative. So if it's study groups and prayer groups, and maybe even yeshivot, maybe even how do you say, halls of study, for people to sit down and to study Noahide law. And as we're seeing here, it's not only to study Noahide law, it's also to study culture. Okay, in its various forms. Maybe you could give a semester in the history of rock and roll, Netzach, and this would be a great addition to the musical sensitivities of the British Isles. Let's see here. Is it true that in ancient times there was a part of the synagogue where non-Jews could attend? Chapter 2. Mishnah 6. Very nice. Thank you for whoever is NWC broadcaster. This is, I think, they're referring to the Ethics of the Fathers that we spoke about. And with regards to Michaela's question, where non-Jews could attend, I'm not sure about synagogues. I know that there are places within the temple area that are permissible also for non-Jews to enter. There are kind of concentric circles on the Temple Mount, where the closer you get into the center, the fewer people are permitted. Right, and certainly within the closest centers, it's only the priests, and even further within that, it's only the high priest. But basically, the further you get out, the more and more it's permissible. With regards to synagogue, I'm not sure.
The answer is yes. Michaela is right.
Very good.
The answer is yes. Today, a lot of mainly the rabbis are very afraid. I don't know what to say exactly, how to say it. And Angelica will have a lot of things to answer to add for that. But today they're not permitting. But I don't know exactly when it stopped. But in the beginning, when if we're speaking 2,000 years ago, okay, after the Temple Mount was destroyed, in the first 70 years, in the first 120 years, there was always there was a section in the synagogues where non-Jews could have come there and pray also to the God of Israel. It's true, Michael. Very nice. And
That's a yes.
Netzach question about yeshivot from Noachite. Today, one of the things that I wrote down in the things, we are dreaming on the Noachite Yeshiva, I think, for the last 5 years. So in the last few months, it's very hard to come to Israel. And if you will come to Israel, you need to sit down in the quarantine for 2 weeks before we started to speak with you. But yes, one of the goals that we want to do is that we will have also a place where people are coming, leaders are coming, and we are helping them to learn the main, I will say, structure and main things to have all the abilities to lead the communities of the Noachite and to become part of the main leaders in the Noachite. So it's not only to learn parts of the Bible, but also to be familiar with all of the Noachite laws on one side, and also to learn few essential books that are very important to understand more or less what's happening today in our world and what is the, we'll say, the answers that we have, the profound answers that we have to all of the things that are related with the way how to live the life in the right way. So hopefully it will be.
We had another question here, Rabbi Chaim. I think maybe it'll be for later, but it's trying to understand Rabbi Cook's explanation for why measures, shiurim, do not apply to Noahites. It's a book that I don't have access to.
Again. What exactly is it?
I don't know if you can see here on my screen, but basically one of the clauses was that shiurim, minimum measurements, do not apply or not obligatory for Noahites. And there's a book there referenced by Rabbi Cook. I don't have access to the book. I don't know if it's kind of a more academic question or if you want to touch on it briefly.
No, I'm sorry, אני איבדתי אותך, אני לא רואה על המסך על מה אתה מדבר, על איזה סעיף.
אתם לא רואים, you don't see the chat that I have?
No.
Never mind. Basically, the question is on clause number 8. Clause number 8 on the screen, okay, it's with regards to minimum measurements. Shiurim.
Okay.
Okay, and the book referenced is here. I think it's Etz Hadar. And I don't have this book. I don't know what the 25.
No, it's written down. Rabbi Abraham Yitzchak Cohen Cook. I have this book, but he's written down inside that in this book that those are the measurements of the Noachite people. It's very similar to the measurement that we have in the Hebrew tradition also. But it's a bit of difference, but it's very, very similar. We're taking measurements of things that are very, that you can find in every home, okay? You don't need to start to look at all sorts of places. You know, until the French Revolution, they measured distance with with feet and with this part of the body, because everybody have this part of the body, and everybody have his own feet usually. So this is why they're measuring this with them. He was speaking about values of how much to eat and what is the size of eating that you need to bless before the eating and bless after the eating and all those things. Bless after the eating, because before you bless for everything. And he's giving there all sorts of measurements that very, very typical. Michaela, it's a good question, and I will answer like that. Since God decided, in a very weird way, I don't know why, that there will be here in this world not only men but also women. So we can't have teaching only to the men's side, not to the women's side. Okay. Michaela asked if she will be able also to come to such a yeshiva. We will have a section for the boys and a section for the girls. It's okay. But it's only because God decided to put also women here in this world. Now, I want to remind us all that in the Hebrew tradition, we said it more than once, but we will say it again. I think Michaela never heard it. If you look good in Genesis, you will see that God kicked out from Eden only men. He never kicked out the woman. So you will ask yourself, so why the woman is here? Because we, the men, we are disabled without the women's side. but the truth is, if you look inside the chapter, chapter 3 in Genesis, you will see that God said to Adam to go out of Eden and to get punished with his curse, but he never said to the woman to go out from Eden. So this is true, you need to understand that. So after all, God did something very weird and he brought the women inside into this world. So we're not going to ignore them. So feel comfortable.
Rabbi Chaim, with your permission, we only have a couple more clauses here, relatively short, to end the second chapter, okay?
Continue on, yes.
Okay, great. We have a couple more questions there. I think we should have time. These clauses are relatively short. Okay, number 14 here, okay, that these laws apply to men and women equally. Okay, so we're talking about the study laws and the prayer laws. We'll speak later about certainly about the base 7 laws, and there will be additional laws enacted by Noahide sages, etc. Okay, clause 15. I think let's read the text. It says, if an uncertainty arises regarding how to rule in Noahide law, one may rule according to the lenient opinion. There's in the Jewish tradition, certain cases come up as society advances, as technology advances, and certain questions arise in the law. What is permissible and what is forbidden, and then we basically rely often on precedent in order to kind of build a case. And there may be disagreements among the sages throughout the generations, and and how should you decide the law? There are certain cases in which according to Jewish law, it would be required to rule strictly. In certain other cases where it'll be permitted to rely on the lenient opinions. And here we're saying that basically if there's a disagreement among the Noahide sages, that it would be permissible to rely on the lenient opinion in such cases of uncertainty. Okay, clause 16, a Noahide who violated one of the Noahide laws inadvertently is exempt from punishment. Okay, and this is basically the flip side is Jews who violate certain laws inadvertently or accidentally. Let's say on Shabbat, if I accidentally turn on the light. Okay, so Jews would be required in temple times would be required to bring a certain sacrifice. Okay, today you'll give a charity instead, or say a certain prayer, asking for repentance. But we're saying basically here that in such inadvertent cases, Noahides are exempt from this punishment, exempt from this cost. And finally, number 17, I think one you're all familiar with, which is the 27th day of the month of Mar Cheshvan, which was about a month and a half ago or so, is the day on which Noah left the ark and received the laws. And therefore, we have also here in Brit Olam and in many other communities, they're accustomed to mark this day as a festival of the nations, Chag HaEnoshut, the festival of humanity. And this is, I think we spoke about this in the past, as a day for great joy for the Jewish people and for all of humanity. I think that closes up chapter 2 even. And we'll continue with chapter 3. There were a couple of more questions here in the chat, Rabbi Chaim. There was one I think we'll touch on later, but regarding the basically how are Noahide sages appointed? How are they found? So I kind of gave my own quick answer, which is that, as we saw here already, I said probably Netzach is going to be one of these Noahide sages, and we have such great students here who ask questions and who cause us to think. But basically, whoever feels a certain inclination and begins to learn the sources and is in touch with the sages of Israel and grows in knowledge and also gains the authority, gains the acceptance of the people in the culture. That was my answer. Is there another more formal process, Rabbi Chaim?
The only thing, very important point that we need to remember is that you need always to have someone, a rabbi, that you can ask him questions regarding your knowledge and your understanding. Of course, to learn by yourself, it's very important. It's very knowledgeable, and you need to continue on and to read things. But then you're starting also to invent things. And this is where you need to have someone that will say to you that you're in the guideline or you're not. This is very, very important. This is one of the most important things that people are missing. And then they're doing a lot of mistakes. You need to have connection with the rabbi. Again, usually I'm saying that in a rabbi from Israel, but this is there are also rabbis not in Israel that are very good. But you need to have a connection with someone who is part of the authority. This is very important. I would like to also to mention something that Tony asked. He asked if we can do this yeshiva online. I will answer like that. I think that we will start online. If you're asking me, Tony, I think I told you already, we are going to do some courses online and to start this thing online. On the other side, it's not even, we don't have any doubt, I'll say it like that a part of becoming a Noahide leader and someone who have the authority, you must also have a visit in Israel, okay? Not only in Israel, where usually I will say the secular world is taking you to see Tel Aviv, to see Masada, and to see something there in Jerusalem, but also to see the places of the Bible, to be in Shiloh, to pray in Shiloh. It's a unique situation to meet the people in the area there, to be in the place of Hebron, to be in the Mount Gerizim, Mount Eval, to see those places, to read the Bible, to understand the connection with what we are reading, what we are learning. So there's supposed to be also some sort of a connection, a real connection with Israel. So I'm telling you, we are preparing this, we are organizing it. And I think you heard it already a long time, and it is taking time because we are doing also other reorganization in the Noahide World Center. And we are going to start the lessons and the courses through the internet. But they're also supposed to be also some sort of a linkage here in Israel with the people. And this is also why we're intending of doing a very, very big, how do you call it? It's like a very big congregation, not congregation, no.
Gathering?
זה אותה מילה פשוט באנגלית, היא קפצה לי מהראש.
כנס.
כנס. Conference, very big conference. We're going to do a very big conference, and we are going to organize some sort of a conference so people will manage to come, and we will meet each other also face to face. It is very important also to meet people face to face. Let's not forget it. We in the age that we know the difference between face to face and only on the Zoom, or also only live courses. But we
Rabbi Chaim, did you make it to Israel? I saw pictures of you and some of the students here together. Was that on a visit to the United States?
Sorry, again.
I saw pictures of you with some of the students here. I was wondering if it was a trip to the United States or if they came to Israel.
I was in the United States a few times, and it's true that I also met some of the people, and I did special flights to those places. And then the Corona came. Now, we had already on the schedule, Rabbi Sherki was supposed to be in French. We were supposed to be in India. We were supposed to be in Brazil, in South America. We were supposed to be also in Deshkovitz in Ukraine. We were supposed to be in Vilnius also had two times. We had already the schedule of the year with the places that we went to build up the place. And this time, by the way, I thought even of going to the United States. Next time I'm going to the United States to go through England, only if Angela and Mike will accept me, They're not on the plane, it's a bit more far from London, but we will find a way to get connected. But this time I said to myself, go to England and do something there. So every time that we're meeting people, we're also doing some sort of something together. Today it's very hard to go to England or to go to the United States, but hopefully, in Israel, I don't know if you know that, in Israel, we started the vaccine. We started the vaccine today. The Prime Minister took the first one yesterday night already, and we have already a few thousand people who already took the vaccine. And we hope in Israel until the end of March, that 2/3 of the population are going to have already the vaccine in Israel. And the understanding of that is that we will be able to fly along the world to a lot of places. You won't be able to come to us, not yet.
Wow. Last year, Rabbi, I was planning, the end of 2019, near there, I was going to go, and I looked forward to it. And, I just couldn't coordinate it correctly, get enough people to make it viable. We looked at Jerusalem Journey and whatnot, and we tried to hook something up. And, I could have done it. And I hesitated and I put it off. And then Corona hit, and it just so changed the face of things. But I look forward to coming to visit you there. And I know when you made it to the U.S., you weren't able to come out here to the Pacific Coast. Would have been a joy to have you. I'm sure we could have put something on. I'm now connecting with a lot of people in Washington State, just below me. And there's some down in Portland, so hopefully sometime in the future we can get you out to the Pacific next time you're here. But I do recommend everybody make that trip to Jerusalem. I want to connect with you personally like that. We've been at this for over three plus years doing these broadcasts. And, I've never met Rabbi Goldberg in person. And yet, I consider him my rabbi and none other. And it's a joy to do broadcasts even with other rabbis. But you've got to have that connection that they're talking about. And I think Lee's done a wonderful job sharing with us Brit Shalom. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. And I did post the link on YouTube where you can purchase one if you don't have one, folks. So, are we going to wind this down for today, Rabbi? Or are we going to...
I think so. Yes.
Now, next week, Rabbi, I am on emergency call for 5 days. So I will not be able to broadcast, but I can still attend the class. I will be in the class, but
maybe you can give it to Tony. Tony knows already how to broadcast it. And
I'm going to spend some time with Tony again tomorrow night, going over some more. But I don't know. I don't think he's quite ready yet. I need to make sure everything's good. And
next time.
I passed him some of the broadcast skins, and I even gave some broadcast skins to Peshek Sherbo yesterday. Trying to get more people to be able to do it. Like Peshek is, he's just hungry, and he's going to make it happen. And with his backup there with Tony, and with Terry and Scotty, they're doing wonderful stuff. So I'm hoping it grows.
I want all of us to applause to Lalaine. Let's applause to Lalaine. Yes, Lalaine, because all of us, for us it's a normal time. Lalaine, it's already the middle of the night, somewhere there. All of it, very nice. Thank you very much. Okay.
Always a joy. Many people from all around the planet, folks. So we're going to sign up for this week. So next week, I will not be broadcasting on YouTube and Facebook, folks. So if you want to jump in to see Live from Jerusalem with Rabbi Goldberg and continue more with the Brit Shalom, you're going to have to get the Zoom room link and jump in there. There's always many people from all around the planet, and it's always a joy. And maybe since I'm not broadcasting next weekend, they might have some wide open questions. Who knows? It's always a joy. Folks, till then, and next time we're live, have a great, great, great day.
Great week. Bye.
Shavuot Tov, thank you.
Shavuot Tov.
Shavuot Tov.